we're starting with a variant of Doctor Doom. We're starting with the quirky gimmick version of Doctor Doom.
All right, welcome back to the Good Time Podcast. We're with a special guest, Mr.
Sean Chandler.
Dr. Doom.
Dr. Doom, yes.
RDJ.
Yes.
What do you think?
So I'm sitting there watching the Comic-Con panel, or not watching it, watching the tweets drop of the announcements.
Okay.
Like, literally what I was doing was I was at my desk, I had two monitors open. I was watching John Campia's live stream as he was covering the news. Then I had two browsers of Twitter, like refreshing to see like what news is dropping at what moment. And the first 45 minutes of the panel, I'm like, this is pretty bad. Like, this is Fantastic Four set in the 60s. Right. You already told us that.
Yeah, we knew that.
You walk out the Thunderbolts cast and they're in it. Like, right. You didn't say anything.
That's what they should have done last year.
Right. Exactly. Like, that's what you announced before you film it. And then you filmed it and you're supposed to, like, you did nothing. And so then it's like, okay, I guess this year's a bust. And then they have the Russos walk out. They're coming back. It's confirmed they're coming back. And, for me, it's a safe pick, but also no one on planet Earth has a better resume for these movies than them. So,
For sure. I would have been interested to see what Sean Levy could have done. When I saw Deadpool and, not to spoil, but the ending or the second ending battle, I feel like that would have been interesting to see in an Avengers movie. I feel like he did every character a good amount of justice. X-23 is in it, so you can say, I feel like they didn't give her enough fights at the end besides.
Yeah.
But I feel like it would have been interesting what he can do. But like you said, the Russo brothers, they've had their worst movies Endgame, in my opinion. And
if that's your worst movie, like...
Yeah, okay.
So no one on planet Earth, it remotely has a resume close to them of like who's most likely to be able to deliver. MCU's had a rough last several years. And so you go, we need these to hit. We need them to be good. Let's go back to the guys that can make it work. And they also need something that's actually good.
Yeah.
I haven't like hated the stuff they've done, but it's just like so dramatically less interesting than.
Did they do The Gray Man? Did you like The Gray Man?
Like, I like that kind of movie. I like the movie stars, but it's the sort of film where if it had cost $60 million and you're like, yeah, I mean, like, we're just trying to have fun. We're going to do this quick little deal. You kind of go, that was fine. But when you spend $200 million and you're like, the directors of Endgame, we're going to make a big action movie.
With Gosling and Evans.
And everyone else, every side character is someone you recognize. And then it's just like mediocre. It's the sort of thing like...
Yeah, it was very mediocre, I'd say.
When you have all the ingredients for something elevated and you get mediocre, that's where it feels more frustrating than it should be. Like, I was totally fine watching the movie, but I should feel a lot more than just fine with all of those ingredients. So they announced Russo's returning. I predicted that in a video that they would be announced because it had been reported the week before. And they announced it. I was like, yes. I also predicted they were going to bring back the writer of Infinity War and Endgame. They brought back one of the two writers from Infinity War and Endgame. I predicted that, and it came true. They announced that. Okay, cool. They go, we're doing Doomsday. Yes, all right. One other one. We assumed they were doing this. For a while, it's been reported, moving away from Kang, Doomsday, or Doctor Doom, the obvious direction to go. If you're not doing Kang, a pivot that fits. Gotcha.
Secret Wars, that's the way to go, too, I think. But Kang would have been interesting, as you were saying.
Yeah, Doctor Doom is certainly dramatically more recognizable to the general public than Kang.
Yeah.
So there's less work you need to do to establish him to the general public and make... So a pivot that you go, I know why you're doing the pivot. And also the pivot seems like probably would have been a better plan A anyway. Then they walk someone out to the front of the stage in a Doctor Doom outfit. There's only one guy that could do this. And I'm at this point, I'm like, yes, we're okay. Like, this is what I wanted, a definitive plan for the future. Who's doing it? Some casting. This is what I wanted them to announce. It's Robert Downey Jr. For me, that felt like letting the excitement out of it. Where I went, love Robert Downey Jr. Yeah. I expected that he was coming back for Secret Wars.
Not like this, though.
But not like this. And I'm sure even in Secret Wars, he'll be Iron Man fighting Doctor Doom. I'm sure that's going to happen, or something like that. But Doctor Doom is one of those top Marvel villains, and we don't have the definitive version. And in the MCU, certainly, we don't have the established version. When you bring out Robert Downey Jr., that is so identified as Tony Stark, both to the audience and to the universe. Like, it's just like, there's no possible way the casting isn't to make the point it's evil Tony Stark. Now, will he be, of course, it'll be Victor Von Doom.
Yeah, which
is
weird. It's so weird.
It's weird. I'm sure that's like the point of it, but that means we're starting with a variant of Doctor Doom. We're starting with the quirky gimmick version of Doctor Doom. We're not starting with established Doctor Doom, and then we go multiverse over here. And by the way, multiverse him, it's Tony Stark. Oh, that's weird. Wait, Spider-Man's going to have to fight Tony Stark, but it's not Tony Stark, it's Victor Von. They're starting with the gimmick. They're starting with the variant. And you've turned one of the great Marvel villains into evil Tony Stark. And that's not who he is. And so it just feels like, instead of trusting the storytelling, instead of setting up another great villain and building up to him like they did with Thanos, like they were going to do with Kang, we're doing a cheat, borrowed trust. We trust Robert Downey Jr. We trust him in the MCU. We're excited for him in the MCU. So as soon as you cast him, everyone's going to talk about it. Everyone gets what that is. All of us are curious, but it's a cheat. It's a gimmick. It's borrowed trust. Dr. Doom didn't earn that. Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark did. And so I just really bummed by it in that sense. And so I posted a bunch of shorts about it. And over the last week, these shorts have become my most viewed videos ever on TikTok. Actually, period. So one of them has, this one has like over 2 million views across everything, talking about essentially what I just said. And all these people keep responding, he's an actor. He'll just give a different performance. Chris Evans used to be Human Torch, and then he was Captain America. It's like, certainly you know the difference. Oh, yeah. Certainly you know the difference in these situations. You have to know that they didn't just cast him because he can act. I mean, they probably did a lot of searches, and he was just the best actor. Like, you've got to be kidding me. He won an
Oscar last year. The other person who won an Oscar in the exact same movie was the better choice.
Right.
Clearly better choice.
Right.
But he rejected it, I think.
That's what I'm curious. Like, what
did he reject it?
Like, how many? Like, is this Plan F? Like, Plan A was Jonathan Majors Kang, and then Kang wasn't working. So, like, do we need to change things? And then Jonathan Majors wasn't working. So then we have to change it up. And we're interviewing Sean Levy, and there's all these reports of things going down. A report came out that Robert Downey Jr. would only return if the Russos returned. And so you kind of go like, how many people turned down what? Why did they turn it down? And then the report is that the Russos are being paid $80 million. They wanted to come back years ago, and they were told no. Robert Downey Jr. said, I'll only come back if they come back. So then they're brought back. It paid an insane amount of money, reportedly. And then the report says he's being paid substantially more than the $80 million they're being paid.
And he made $80 million in Endgame. And he's playing 2 characters in Secret Wars. He's going to make like $200 million for that freaking movie.
He's going to make a bajillion dollars on all of this. And you go, but is this Plan F? Is it like, how many plans?
I never thought about it that way. That sounds so true.
Yeah.
But man, I want to Cillian Murphy so bad. He's one of my favorite actors. I want him so bad.
And I think that's the deal, is you kind of go, if they cast Cillian Murphy, you interpret it as, ooh, we're going to do like an awesome Doom. And you say Robert Downey Jr., and you immediately go, what are we doing here?
Is Doom going to be wearing an Iron Man suit?
Yeah, like what is he? That
would be kind of cool.
Like, yeah, and I'm sure we'll get
from a story standpoint, what will it be?
It immediately, he takes the mask off, and all of our characters go, it's Tony Stark. It's Tony Stark. It's like, I'm Victor Von Doom. Like, but first off, the audience already knows that. But whatever they're doing, however this is playing out in this multiverse game they're playing, it puts a flavor on it that shouldn't be our first story for Doctor Doom. The original story should not be that. And maybe what they're going to do is that he has some part that he plays throughout the movie, and it is a classic Victor Von Doom. He's in the suit and everything. And the big reveal at the end, he takes his mask off, and we learn what the audience already knew. It's Robert Downey Jr. under the mask. I don't know where they're going with this. Maybe they have some brilliant story.